Evening, everyone. Welcome back to PrepBee. And today we are going to do CAT 2023 Slot 3 passage. So let's get started. Steven Pinker's new book, Rationality, what it is, why it seems scarce, why it matters, offers a pragmatic dose of measured optimism, presenting rationality as a fragile but achievable ideal in personal and civic life. So Pinker's book, it emphasizes rationality as realistic, though delicate goal that people can achieve in their personal as well as society life that they live. All right. Pinker's ambition to illuminate such a crucial topic offers the welcome prospect of a return to sanity. It's no small achievement to make formal logic, game theory, statistics, and basic reasoning delightful topics full of charm and relevance. So, by choosing to explore rationality, the author aims to restore a level headed approach to decision making, which he sees as beneficial to overall society's health. All right, Pinker's successful present complex topics like logic, game theory, stats, all of these, in an engaging way, they make it more interesting and relevant for the users or for the readers, you can say, not users. It's also plausible to believe that a wider application of rational tools he analyzes would improve the world in important ways. His primer on statistics and scientific uncertainty is particularly timely and should be required reading before consuming any news about the COVID pandemic. More broadly, he argues that less media coverage of shocking but vanishingly rare events from sharp attacks to adverse vaccine reactions would help prevent dangerous overreactions, fatalism, and diversion of finite resources away from solvable but less dramatic issues like malnutrition in the developing world. All right. So here, the author is trying to say that using rational approaches like those Pinker discusses, we could have all these approaches can have very significant positive effects as well if we apply them in a broad sense in the society. So Pinker's discussion on statistics and understanding uncertainty is relevant during the COVID pandemic, as it could help readers evaluate news more critically. So Pinker suggests that media coverage should focus less on rare sensational events and should focus more on the critical solvable case, as excessive coverage of the former can lead to unwise public response and resource misallocation. All right. It is a reasonable critique, and Pinker is not the first to make it. But analyzing the political economy of journalism, its funding structures, ownership concentration, and increasing reliance on social media shares would have given a fuller picture of why so much coverage is so misguised and what we might do about it. So while Pinker's critique of media is valid, he would have enriched his analysis by examining how financial influences and media ownership or social media pressures can shape the media coverage, offering a clear path to what reform would look like. Pinker's main focus is sort of conscious, sequential reasoning that can track the steps in geometric proof or an argument in formal logic. Skill in this domain maps directly onto the navigation of many real-world programs, and Pinker shows great mastery of the tools of rationality can improve decision making in medical, legal, financial, and many other contexts in which we must act on uncertain and shifting information. All right. So here Pinker centers on a type of reasoning that is systematic, logical, which is similar to following the steps in a logical argument, right? So Pinker demonstrates that by mastering logical reasoning, people can make better decisions in fields that, that they must work with in changing information, shifting information, such as law, medicine, finance, etc. All right. So despite the undeniable power of the sort of rationality he describes, many of the deepest insights in the history of science, math, music, art strike their originators in moments of epiphany. From the 19th century, chemist Friedrich August Kekule's discovery of the structure of benzene to any Mozart's symphonies, much extraordinary human achievement is not product of conscious sequential reasoning. So although the structured reasoning is powerful, many groundbreaking discoveries in diverse fields often occur through sudden realization or epiphanies that it just occurred to you and it happened. Some great achievements such as Kiku's discovery of benzene's structure or Mozart's composition arose from intuitive or subconscious processes rather than structured reasoning is what the author is trying to say. Even Plato's Socrates, who anticipated many of Pinker's points by nearly 2,500 years, showing the virtue of knowing what you do not know and examining all premises and arguments, not simply trusting speakers' authority or charisma, attributed many of his most profound insights to dreams and visions, not rationality, but dreams and visions. Conscious reasoning is helpful in sorting the wheat from the chaff, but it would be interesting to consider the hidden amplifiers that make much of the grain grow in the first place. All right. So even he says that Socrates, an ancient philosopher who valued rational examination and intellectual humility, even he credited some of his deepest insights to non-rational sources like dreams or intuition. So while conscious reasoning, it helps us to filter out ideas that lack substance. The author suggests that exploring the subconscious, where creative ideas often originate, could add depth to Pinker's focus on rationality. The role of moral and ethical education in promoting rational behavior is also underexplored. The role of moral and ethical education. Pinker recognizes that rationality is not just a cognitive virtue but a moral one. But this profoundly important point, once subtly explored by ancient Greek philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, doesn't really get developed. This is a shame since possessing the right sort of moral character is arguably a precondition for using rationality in beneficial ways. All right. So Pinker touches on how moral and ethical education develops your rationality, and that is not very explored. Pinker acknowledges that rationality has moral significance as well. It is not just cognitive. It is also about making ethical choices. Although the concept of rationality as a moral virtue was explored by philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, and all of that, Pinker doesn't fully expand on it. The author suggests that having a strong ethical foundation is essential for applying rationality to improve lives positively, implying that Pinker's work could have benefited from a deeper exploration on this angle. All right, here is a passage, a bit confusing, difficult, I would definitely say, but still it's comprehensible, and I hope you have understood. If you have any further doubts, you can always drop it on the comment box, and I would be happy to help. Let's do the questions now. The author refers to Greek ancient philosophers too. He referred to Socrates, he referred to all of this, that there is Plato, there mostly not Socrates, but he referred to the Plato and Aristotle, that doesn't really get this place. But Pinker recognizes that it is not just a cognitive virtue, but a moral one. And then he mentions the Greek philosophers. He wants to tell that these Greek philosophers, they tried to explore this one, that rationality is just about not just about cognitive virtue, but it is also moral thinking. And Pinker really did not explore it much. Indicate the various similarities. No, we are not talking about the similarities. We are talking about the about what he could have explored and what he did not. Reveal gap in Pinker's discussion of the importance of ethical considerations in rational behavior. Exactly the point. These people, they actually explore, and his work is underexplored, is what the author is trying to suggest. So, second is your answer. Now, the author mentions Kekule's discovery of the structure of benzene and Mozart symphonies to illustrate the point that here he mentioned that sometimes everything does not have a reason. It can be epiphany. It can be something of intuition, all of that sort, right? Great innovation across various fields can stem from flashes of intuition and are not always propelled by logical thinking. Very good. This really answers. So first is your answer, but let's see others. Unlike the sciences, human achievements are mix of logical reasoning and spontaneous. We don't know if it is a mix, and we don't know about the sciences. Nowhere discussed. Pinker's conclusion on sequential reasoning are valid by European achievements, not really. I mean, how it's not illustrating the point. It's just it's not just the creative arts, but also scientific fields that have benefited from flashes of creativity. Nowhere it has mentioned all of this. It's just that Sometimes it can be intuition, epiphany, dream, all of that, and not always the rational thinking. So one is your answer. According to the author, for Pinker as well as the ancient Greek philosopher, rational thinking involves all of the following except the belief that the ability to reason logically encompasses an ethical and moral dimension. Yes, he just underexplored, but even he believes this. An awareness of underlying assumptions in an argument and gaps in one's knowledge. Yes, it is given. The primacy of conscious sequential reasoning as the basis for seminal human achievements. This not really, because they give value to even epiphany. Something moral consideration, ethical consideration is also given. So the primacy of only conscious reasoning is distorted. And hence, three is the answer, not three. Now, the author endorses Pinker's view on the importance of logical reasoning as it is. The author endorses Pinker's view on importance of logical reasoning as it equips people with the ability to take challenging practical problems. Okay. Provides public information attention on real issues like development rather than sensational events. Distortion provides a moral compass. It does not provide a moral compass. Helps people to gain expertise in statistics and other. No, it does not. Hence, one is your answer. Let's do the parageneral now. I identify the odd one, sorry. Although hard skills have traditionally ruled the roast, some companies are moving away from choosing prospective hires based on technical abilities alone. Okay, here we're talking about hard skills and just not the hiring from technical abilities. Companies are shaking off the old definition of an ideal candidate and ditching the idea of looking for singularly perfect candidate altogether. Now, some job descriptions are frequently asking for candidates to demonstrate soft skills such as leadership and teamwork. That's not to say that practical know-how is no longer required. Some jobs still call for highly specific expertise. The move towards prioritizing soft skill is a natural response to 3 years of pandemic, says a senior recruiter. Here we are mentioning soft skills, but here we are mentioning that does not mean hard skills are not required. Here again the soft skills are being asked, and here if they are talking about the technical abilities alone won't give you hiring. The move is because also because of the 3 years of pandemic, and hence two is your odd one out. Here they are talking about singularly perfect candidate. No, it's not about that. Now let's look at the last question. Goa senior who lived through the 2004 tsunami, the Japanese occupation and diseases brought by British settlers, was the last native of the island chain who was fluent in the book. The indigenous population had been steadily collapsing since the island chain was colonized by British settlers in 1858 and was most used used for most of the following 100 years as a colonial penal colony, taking its name from the extinct tribe. Yes, sir. So here we are talking about Boa Senior was fluent in Go. Here also we are talking about extinct tribe. So this three and one are at least matching, making sense to me. The last speaker of an ancient tribal language has died in Andaman Islands, breaking a 65,000-year link in one of the world's oldest cultures. Though the language has been closely studied by researchers of linguistic history, Boa Senior spent the last few years in her life unable to converse with anyone in her mother tongue. Okay, five was done. Uh, Now it was the last native of the island chain who was fluent they are talking, and now the last speaker has died. They have mentioned this, so this is also linked. Four is also linked. What is left? Two. The indigenous population. We are not talking about the population. They are talking mostly about the language, the people who knew the language, right? Hence, two is your odd one out. This is it. The passage was slightly tricky. I hope you understood. Is if there is any sentence that you could not grasp, you can just mention it in the comment box. We'll be happy to help. And all the best for your exams.